My name is Pete Lee, Chief Revenue Officer at Zingtree. I've been in the space for almost 10 years, helping customers solve complex problems. And for Zingtree, we're here to solve the most complex issues in the most regulated environments with AI and automation, leveraging next-gen technologies, but doing so in a very deterministic way.
When you think about customer complexity today, what's changed in the last few years?
That's a great question. When you think about customer complexity, I think there's a couple ways to kind of look at it. Number one is, as consumers, we expect more from our support. We're getting more technical. We're able to do a lot of research before contacting, the product companies to return an order, or I need to do troubleshooting. So our expectations has risen. I think with the rise of Amazon's customer support, we also expect other companies to act in the same manner, right? Quick returns, troubleshooting. And so I think one is the expectation of the consumer. The other is the complexity of the product, right? Now products are more technical. The troubleshooting steps are no longer simple to solve. And because of globalization, there's a lot of processes that are involved, from regulations to compliance to supply chain. So it makes the whole system far more complex to deal with when it comes to CX.
What's one thing about Zingtree that people often misunderstand?
So the one thing that people misunderstand about Zingtree is that somehow decision trees are no longer necessary. I think when people think of AI, because of the way they use GPT, they think there's some easy button to solve the most complex issues. But in the end, you need logic and rules, right? And that's where I think Zingtree's history of being able to create those rules and apply to automation AI really strengthens the ability to deal with regulated environments.
What's different about how Zingtree handles complex customer support versus other AI vendors?
So when it comes to modern support, um, I think the one thing that we think about differently is that it still needs to be rules-based and logic-based. In the most complex issues, you need the processes to drive it forward, and you need to leverage AI at the right places at the right time. On the other side, I think when it comes to uh, humans in the loop, I think other people have brought it up, which is the criticality of humans still being engaged as part of the CX process. And that's where Zingtree's flexible approach of addressing both the consumers and the agents to create a holistic way to solve issues makes it very unique versus an easy button to try to solve the most simple issues. We're going after most complicated issues.
What does it take to make automation safe for high stakes use cases, and how did Zingtree deliver that?
There's no easy answer to solving complex issues with automation. The first thing you need to do is you have to have a rigid set of rules. Without the rules and processes in place and the guardrails, AI, people, processes are going to go off the rails. So how first be aligned with business and IT and create those guardrails. And then when you're able to then define those guardrails and apply that to the automation AI, you're making sure then the processes are following along it and the least amount of variance to make potentially mistakes like hallucinations and dead ends.
What would you say to a technical buyer comparing Zingtree to building in-house?
So from a technical standpoint, obviously speed to market is important. I think when you're IT, you're trying to ensure that businesses are following your guidelines. However, you still need to balance the speed to productivity, the speed to value. And that's where I think a platform like Zingtree that allows IT to govern its rules, but then allow businesses to own the rollout of those rules to the CX experience is probably the best hybrid approach. Um, I understand from an IT standpoint why you want to build internally, you want to be able to maintain those guardrails. But what if you can maintain a platform and still accelerate business productivity? I think that's the best of both worlds.
How does Zingtree help companies stay flexible as their environments evolve?
Yeah, I think flexibility is the key when it comes to thinking about AI. And what I mean by that is there's no one size that fit all, right? When you talk about flexibility, you have to meet the customer or the agent where they live, right? So one is the last mile, how they experience the AI. The second thing is obviously being able to apply to multiple channels, right? Whether you're supporting agents or customers through digital, through phone, through voice, they still need to be able to follow the right process to resolution. The third is the flexibility of working and creating the right use case at the right time. That means being able to touch with APIs the right data at the right time. That means being able to leverage language models at the different levels, or even delivering the language models in different ways from conversational AI to agentic workflows. All of that requires you to be able to be flexible in delivering the model, not only digesting the data, but also delivering to your end user experience that drives the results.
How does Zingtree give their clients confidence that they can control the output?
When Zingtree thinks about the deterministic AI approach, it's all about ensuring that businesses are confident with leveraging AI at the right time, leveraging your context, your rules, and your logic. By doing so, you're able to inject it at the right time to be able to drive AI in a more deterministic manner. What that means is when you think about AI, it is meant to give an answer, right? And a hallucination is when you don't have enough context and it's still trying to give the answer. So if you can guardrail the system by allowing AI to tap into your context at the right time, your rules to understand the pathways, and your logic to understand the flows that it needs to go through, now you can control the output and make sure that AI is able to give the right answer. And so I think our clients are very confident that they're able to create the right use cases because they have this logic engine that is able to drive this to create the right outcomes.
Let's talk about what you're most excited about what's on the roadmap at Zingtree.
Yeah. So the Zingtree evolution has always been rooted in, I think, our tenants, right? Our tenants are we want to build a system that is built on your data. We want to build a system that's flexible. We want to allow your business users to control the outcome. And we want to build a system that's highly compliant for regulated environments. So that was our path before AI, but that fits perfectly in our path with AI. And now we're starting to inject things like conversational AI, agentic flows into it. But the future of our product is really around being able to orchestrate this entire experience and let AI drive AI. And what I mean by that is ultimately, right now, we're still very rules based when creating these more deterministic AI flows. But there will come a point where we'll let AI orchestrate that entire experience. And I think that will be amazing where there is a clean handoff from consumer experience to agent experience back to consumer experience and letting AI dictate the path, but all driven around the concept that you're creating the rules that AI follows.